There are things moving behind the scenes that just do not fit. Quiet moves, shifts at the table, and an insane amount of pressure building up in Las Vegas. And the worst part is, nobody is paying attention to where they should be. Is this a brilliant front office strategy or a total foot shoot that is going to cost us our season before it even starts? So go ahead and smash that like button and stay until the end, because this could change everything. Training camp is about to explode with tension, and while everyone is just staring at the quarterback battle, the Raiders' kitchen has been working overtime behind the scenes. Hold on though, because what happened over the last few hours caught a lot of people by surprise. The front office decided not to make that blockbusting noise the media loves, but they tweaked the gears with some targeted additions. The franchise made official the arrival of wide receiver Devin Tompkins, linebacker Buddy Johnson, and defensive end Patrick Johnson. At first glance, depth moves, guys just to fill out the roster. But is that really it? According to reports, Tompkins brings some old familiarity with our general manager John Spytek, coming straight from stints in Buffalo and Atlanta, carrying that experience of a guy who needs to prove his worth on every single snap and on defense. The arrival of Buddy Johnson and Patrick Johnson, two 2021 veterans who are special teams aces, lays bare an uncomfortable truth. Our young defensive core needed some thick skin and someone to hold the line when fatigue sets in. But it goes much deeper than that, fans. While these guys arrive quietly to add depth, the weight of the entire planet is sitting right on Fernando Mendoza's shoulders. The #1 rookie arrived with the impossible mission of stepping up to veteran Kirk Cousins, and the burning question is, are the Raiders throwing the kid into the fire way too early, or are we witnessing the birth of a new era? According to reports from inside the facility, the mental load demanded of a starting quarterback here is just inhumane. Mendoza himself opened up recently, admitting that he needs to master a complex playbook, absorb years of offensive tendencies, and make sure every teammate on the field trusts his play calling blindly. He has the tools in the palm of his hand, sure, but the transition from theory to NFL chaos is where dreams usually go to die, and this is where the human factor that nobody dares to ignore comes in. What you see on television, that calm kid, polished in interviews, looking like the perfect good guy, is not even half the story. Teammates, like rookie Kieron Crawford, who already crossed paths with Mendoza back in their college days, guarantee that the reality between the lines is completely different. He is 10 times better, Crawford said, describing a fierce, loud, and relentless competitor once that helmet is locked onto his head. Is that good news? Or a sign that we have a hyperactive rookie dealing with disproportionate pressure right out of the gate in year one? And that is not even the most worrying part. Because while the coaching staff tries to shield the kid and smooth out the edges with role players, the margin for error in Las Vegas simply does not exist. The fan base is divided. Some are begging for patience, demanding that the franchise build the foundation slowly. Others have already run out of patience with years of frustrating rebuilds and want results yesterday. The strategy of bringing in gritty veterans to provide support while the future is forged in the crossfire looks smart on paper, but in the reality of the AFC West, one wrong step and the whole machine could jam up. Now I am asking you, fan, trusting a rookie surrounded by modest adjustments is the recipe to the top? Or are we sleepwalking into yet another year of painful transition? Drop your opinion in the comments, because the discussion is only just beginning. The house cleaning was real, and the consequences are already knocking on our doors. While the front office decided to bet everything on a total overhaul of the middle of the defense, handing out long-term deals to Quay Walker and Nakobe Dean, one name got caught in the crossfire and ended up left out in the cold: Jamal Adams. Yeah, the safety who arrived with star status last year just did not fit into the Raiders' plans for 2026, and his exit was not quiet. According to reports, Adams did not just pack his bags, he made sure to make it crystal clear where he actually wanted to go. The destination? The Minnesota Vikings, over in the NFC North, where he is going to try and resurrect his career under defensive coordinator Brian Flores. But what really grabbed the fans' attention was Adams' desperate attempt to get back to the New York Jets, the franchise that drafted him back in 2017. I tried, man. It is in their hands. Adams blurted out publicly when he was questioned by fans, defending his legacy in New York tooth and nail before signing with the Vikings. And this is where we need to stop and ask the question nobody wants to answer out loud. Was Jamal Adams' run with the Raiders a resounding fiasco? Or did the coaching staff just fail to squeeze out what he did best? Because the cold numbers do not lie. In his final season in Las Vegas, Adams allowed a brutal 98.6 passer rating in coverage and racked up a staggering 12 missed tackles, according to Pro Football Focus. The fit never really worked. The field felt too big, the coverage assignments too heavy, and the fans' patience ran out long before his contract was up. Hold on though, because the front office answered that departure with a move that is dividing the harshest football analysts out there. Was bringing in Quay Walker and Nakobe Dean a masterstroke or a calculated risk that could blow up right in our faces? For brilliant tactical minds like Ben Solak over at ESPN, this duo represents quite simply one of the most complimentary moves of the entire league offseason, earning an A+ grade. The logic behind the trade is seductive. Nakobe Dean comes in to be the silent general, the cerebral middle linebacker who calls the alignment, reads the game like few others, and hands out responsibilities with surgical violence. With Dean organizing the show, the giant Quay Walker, standing at 6'4" and over 240 pounds of pure explosion, gets total freedom to hunt down the ball carrier at the line of scrimmage and terrorize the opposing running game. Even linebackers coach Ronell Williams could not hide his excitement in early internal meetings, stating that God blessed these guys with physical traits that simply cannot be drawn up on a whiteboard. A perfect duo on paper, right? Hold your horses, though. Let us look in the rearview mirror for just a second. Does trading the instability of Jamal Adams for a young and promising duo raise the ceiling of our defense? Absolutely, but Dean carries legitimate doubts about his physical durability over the course of a brutal 17-game season, while Walker still needs to prove consistently that he can keep his tactical discipline when chaos hits in the second quarter of an away game. Is this solid roster growth, or are we just trading 6 of one for half a dozen of the other in hopes that luck finally smiles on Las Vegas? The fans are split between the relief of seeing an unproductive veteran walk out the door and the chronic distrust that our structural defensive flaws are still right there, just painted over with new names. Is the defense going to turn into an unbreakable wall, or are we going to keep struggling to stop the run in clutch moments? The debate is wide open, and I want to know which side you are on. If you thought the trade drama for this offseason was over, get ready, because the script just took a cinematic turn that could completely change the ceiling of the Raiders or drop us into a dangerous financial trap. While the sports news cycle was focused on who might be leaving Las Vegas, an earthquake started shaking up Florida. According to reports from ESPN's Jeremy Fowler, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers are stuck in a heavy contract dispute with one of their biggest defensive stars, defensive tackle Vita Vea. The defensive line could be getting a silent but physical piece that changes everything for Vita Vea forced the hand and officially asked to be traded. And this is where the story crosses paths directly with the destiny of the Raiders, making every fan's heart race. According to reporting from The Athletic's Ted Nguyen, Vea already has some favorite destinations in mind if he gets dealt, and guess who is right at the top of the player's wish list? The Raiders, alongside California franchises like the Chargers, Rams, and 49ers. Hang on though, let us take a deep breath and analyze the facts coldly, because fan passion sometimes blinds us to business reality. Why on earth would a player of Vita Vea's caliber, used to winning and playing in playoff games down in Tampa Bay, want to come to a franchise that hasn't won a single postseason game in over 2 decades? The answers are right in front of us, down the hallways of the main building. The connections are heavy. Our general manager, John Spytek, was an executive in Tampa when Vea was drafted and watched every step of his development up close. And who else was there? Yep, our minority owner, Tom Brady, the general that Vea won a Super Bowl with. The emotional appeal of reuniting with old allies and leading a defense starving for respect in Las Vegas is undeniable. Vea would bring a monstrous anchor right to the middle of our defensive line, that 31-year-old prototype who destroys double teams and turns opposing quarterbacks' lives into an absolute nightmare. Hold your excitement though, because the financial and strategic hole here is massive. Let us keep it real without any bias. Vita Vea is 31 years old. He is on the downslope of his athletic prime. Even though he started all 17 games last season with 4.5 sacks, handing out a multi-year, multi-million-dollar contract to a veteran defensive tackle is a monumental risk that our front office might not be willing to take. On top of that, what would the price tag even be? Years ago, Vea would have easily commanded a first-round pick without blinking. Today, with his advancing age and that contract demand hanging over his head, the scenario changes completely. According to market analysts, the absolute ceiling the Raiders should invest in terms of draft capital would be a third-round pick, and even then, with extreme caution. The Raiders are building a long-term project. We are not just one player away from hoisting the Lombardi in 2026. Adding Villa would accelerate the process, sure, but it doesn't fix the chronic holes on the offensive line or at wide receiver. If the trade happens for a bargain and the contract is structured smartly, that is a stroke of genius. But if the front office loses their mind and gives up precious draft picks to lock down a guy in the home stretch of his career, that could be the mistake that caps our ceiling for years. The tightrope in Tampa Bay just snapped, and Las Vegas is sitting in the front row watching the auction. Is this the missing piece to turn our defense into a dominant powerhouse, or a financial ticking time bomb that will compromise our future? Leave your opinion in the comments, because the answer to that question is going to set the tone for our season. 3 hot fronts, 3 heavy bets, and only one destination on the line. Between quiet roster tweaks, the forced overhaul in the middle of the linebacker core, and the monumental shadow of a blockbuster trade on the horizon, the Raiders are walking a tightrope. The front office's blueprint is being tested to the limit, and the fans' tolerance has already hit 0. Now I want to hear from you. Is this a smart rebuilding path, or are we watching a serious problem grow right under our noses? Smash the like, subscribe to the channel, and until next time, Raiders Nation.